Thank you, Joe.
No doubt.
Baroness Blake, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, drop number one, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and forgive me if my voice gives out, because I'm not sure I've ever had quite such competition. 2 steam engines, people 30 feet up there, people 30 feet over there. Normally I'd say come a bit closer or I will come and see you, but you're stuck behind a barrier, so I hope you can hear me. Now, it's a fantastic occasion today, and I'm really glad that the weather has held off, because we can see this engine in its full glory. Now, as a railway and enthusiast, train-mad teenager in the 80s, I developed a very unhealthy interest, my parents might say, in the ironstone industry of the Midlands. I come from Warwickshire. We had the Edgehill Light Railway just over the border. We had the Oxfordshire Ironstone Railway. And a number of us at school found out about this local history stuff. And yes, teenagers do history. It's around us now. But by the age of 15, I had all of the 9 volumes of Eric Tonks's magisterial work, The Ironstone Railways and Tramways of the Midlands. Look it up if you actually want a good read. It's not one for if you're suffering from an inability to sleep. It's really good. And I learned a lot about little steam engines, one of which was the Cranford Quarry system, the Ironstone system, and a little engine called Sir Berkeley. Now, as time went on as a teenager, I found out that engine was still in existence, owned by the Vintage Carriage Trust and based on the Worth Valley Railway, but it hadn't run for decades. I followed up its story and finally met more of its illustrious past, including the Railway Children appearance, which actually I still never seen despite the age of digital videos, etc. But finally I met it at the Worth Valley Railway in 1998, painted in what was somewhat approximate to Kermit green, which was entertaining. I bought a little book, Sir Berkeley and Friends, taught me a lot more about the engine, taught me a lot more about the VCT collection and the dynamism that they bring to the heritage movement. And it was running at that day with its first set of driving wheels disconnected, the coupling rods were off, which reminded me of its life as a contractor's engine. And that's it, so often we can remember these engines within living memory as the end of their life with the ironstone or industry. But as a contractor's engine is where, I can't say it made its name because it didn't have a name, but there it was. Very much the equivalent of a dump truck in modern day contractor's world. This is not a piece of kit, as my dear friend Ian Howitt would say down in Wakefield. It's just a thing to do a job, and actually the paint only stops it going rusty. But what a paint job. The contractors' railways across the UK, from dams, reservoirs, civil engineering contracts, bridge building, canals, and the railway system. There were hundreds of miles of railway doing a job of work away from the Coronation Scot, away, dare I say it, from the Flying Scotsman and Mallard. Engines like this were getting on, doing the business, driving British industry. They were pieces of plant, often discarded at the end of their jobs, whether it was a contract that had come to an end or whether they were supplanted by a more modern piece of equipment. And so therefore it's such an amazing survival that Sir Berkeley, or Logan and Hemingway number 30 as it was when ordered in 1890, an amazing thing that it would have such a long life as it did, surviving until Roger came and bought it in 1965 for us all to enjoy now. A rare survivor, a special machine, and a very useful machine. As I proved a few years ago when we had it at Shildon, at a locomotion museum in Shildon, one of our trustees came and said, I've heard this story that people used to cook their breakfasts on the shovel with bacon and egg. I don't believe you. So I sent a colleague of mine up to the co-op. I said, right, 6 buns, half a dozen rashers of bacon, and 5 minutes later, one of our trustees was learning. Engines can teach us not just how they operated, but some of these stories of the ways of life and what they did. So I might work for the National Railway Museum. In fact, I've just hot-footed it across there in less than an hour ago, and we are within the hallowed walls of Mallard, Flying Scotsman, Rocket, and the high-speed train. But without such engines, humble engines, as number 30 was, which built the network and existed in their hundreds, the modern railway wouldn't necessarily have taken shape as quickly as it did. The stunning photographs of the SWA Newton collection showing the building of the last main line, the London extension of the GC, show what a great endeavour civil engineering was in building of the railway and the part played by the contractors therein. And so the story of Sir Berkeley comes full circle, represented for years by the VCT and the custodians here at Middleton in her Cranford guise, apart from the rather aesthetically pleasing tin cab, the overall cab. I suspect you guys might wish it had come back at some point if it rains today. When I was the museum mentor, as these chaps have already alluded to, I did suggest that the Logan and Hemingway livery came back in its next overhaul to stand as testimony to the men and machines who completed our railway system in the late 19th and early 20th century. And bless the trustees and the people who painted it and the folks who've got to clean it and maintain it. Here is the result. I'm delighted to see it. I hope you will share in my delight. Welcome back to the Logan and Hemingway number 30. Thank you very much.